You strong.
At this time, Minchul spoke up. What kind of relationship did he have with the Black Saint? Hearing this, SeoJoon turned around in surprise. He confidently replied, to be honest, it wasn't a relationship at all, but if he had to name it, it would probably be a business relationship here and there, probably so. After hearing Minchul, he frowned a bit. Having said that, SeoJoon turned to Haeun, who was kneeling there. That was all. Why are you here? The question made Haeun startled. Are you following me? I definitely remember telling you not to follow me. Hearing that, Seoeun immediately frantically argued, no, I'm not following you. So why are you here? SeoJoon slowly walked over. Haeun stammered, that. He immediately tightened his grip on Haeun, telling her clearly, if she doesn't tell the truth, then I don't know what the Sword Saint can do to her. The Sword Saint is looking at her with a dissatisfied expression. Haeun sweated and thought, you're even scarier than the Sword Saint. Having said that, he sighed. SeoJoon said again, you probably haven't understood yet. Haeun immediately reached out and spoke up, I also want to study at the Dream Academy. SeoJoon huffed. He asked again, do you want to enroll at the Dream Academy? Her, why? Haeun stammered, about that. He didn't let her explain, immediately said, there's no more left. It's almost time to select professional hunters, so what's the point of doing that? She is. Was Hunter Mill Academy spy right? The Sword Saint behind him was also burning with murderous intent at the same time, causing Haeun to be afraid, screaming silently, help me. She quickly replied, I said it's not like that. He wondered, then why is she behaving so strangely? Haeun stammered, because I really wanted to study there. Hearing that, SeoJoon pondered for a moment. Suddenly, SeoJoon noticed Minchul leaving. He wondered, oh, are you going to just leave like that? He asked back, is there any reason for me to stay? SeoJoon replied, no, not really, but what should I do with her? Just deal with her. Minchul said, how to deal with it is up to you. Overhearing them talking, Haeun was extremely shocked. Deal with it. Star. When the Sword Saint opened the door to leave, Haeun tried to reach out to hold him, but she couldn't anymore. She whispered, wait, please don't go. If you do go, please take me. Follow along. Please don't leave me here alone with him. Just as quickly, SeoJoon with a dangerous face appeared next to poor Haeun. He asked, do you want to join the Dream Academy? Then, he said, I don't know if she's telling the truth or lying, but that's for Seoeun to decide, not me, but now she has something to do and has to go out. Haeun slowly stood up. Finally, she thought of a plan. Good, now I'll use the excuse that the director isn't here and sneak back, come back next time. Thinking that's it, she immediately said, then, but suddenly, she recognized him. Was holding something up, then he hummed loudly. SeoJoon said, so while waiting for Miss Seoeun to come back, keep this. As soon as Haeun held it, the weight made her body sag. She tried to hold on, thinking, it's too heavy. I could use all my mana but I couldn't lift it up, but why did he lift it up like it was nothing? Haeun saw SeoJoon leave and immediately panicked, wait, I also just waved his hand, saying, I'm already going to practice so don't bother me. At the palace, Minchul has returned. He opened the door to his room. In front of him was still the scene of Seoeun kneeling there with manager Seo. It seemed like he also tried to advise Seoeun. Minchul frowned and spoke up, you still haven't changed your mind. Seoeun nodded slightly. Minchul frowned silently. Then he walked to the shelf to display the sword. Immediately grabbed his esoteric sword. Then pulled out the blade in front of Seoeun. After the blade was pulled out, a stream of smoke rose from the blade. Immediately, strong energy radiated everywhere. He advised that a quick sword is a sword art that requires speed. It is a sword art that defeats the opponent with a swift attack. Minchul raised the sword across his eyes and continued, sharp sword is a sword technique mainly used for stabbing. Fast as lightning, Minchul makes a forward sword strike, continuing, it will be a weakness for opponents who intend to fight in close combat. However, the thrust is often performed at the same time as the sword speed, which is also the fastest sword move. Swapping swords is a sword art that makes the opponent's mistakes appear by using swordsmanship moves that are extremely variable. That's why speed is very important, but the most important thing is constant attack. It is swordsmanship that causes fatal wounds to the opponent due to suddenly focusing all their strength on one move. The sword movement is a slow sword art, but just because it's slow doesn't mean you can't use it. Although it's opposite in nature, the purpose is the same. The sword slowly enters the opponent's range. Enemy and gradually erodes the enemy little by little. Strong sword is a swordsmanship where you put the weight of the sword when swinging it, a swordsmanship that quickly deals with an opponent who is fighting a lot by making strong slashes. The heavy sword packs more weight, is the next level of the strong sword. It can be understood as the swordsmanship opposite of the speed sword, and at the same time has the most destructive power of all swordsmanship. Unlike the ever-changing sword exchange, illusion sword is a sword art that deceives the opponent's eyes. With long steps combined with fast movements, the illusion of the sword created from these chaotic movements will deceive the opponent. Direction. Sheathing is a sword art that gently attacks and finds opportunities to counterattack. It is a sword art that reduces the burden placed on the sword, and at the same time disperses the power of the opponent's attack. Defeating swords that are both fast and strong is a combination of speed and strength, so you can overwhelm your opponent in a sword fight. Immediately, aura emitted from Minchul's body after he practiced swordplay. Then, Minchul put his sword back in its scabbard. He looked at SeoJoon and said, "These are the basic moves of god-slaying swordsmanship. I will give you a deadline, master all the swordsmanship I have taught you within that time limit. The deadline is before the professional hunter selection exam ends. If you can't do it within that time, then I will never allow you to hold a sword again." Hearing that, Mr. Seo immediately spoke up, "Principal, that is completely impossible." Minchul added, "If you think you can't do it, give up right now." Unlike Mr. Seo's thoughts, she quickly agreed, "I will try, no, I will do it." Hearing that, Mr. Seo was extremely worried, "Ma'am," and the sword saint turned away. SeoJoon slowly stood up. Minchul ordered, picked up the sword. The present SeoJoon was so determined to learn the sword. A strong source of energy radiated out. Haeun became surprised. What is this? What is this terrifying energy? That energy comes from the place where SeoJoon practiced, and at the same time, Haeun was also forced to hold that heavy object. SeoJoon didn't need to look directly to realize that she had lowered her hand, and immediately warned, "Oh ho, lower her hand." Haeun then screamed silently, "When will the director come here?" Outside, Minhyul coincidentally met Suyin. He waved his hand, smiled brightly, "Oh, Suyin, you called out too, Mr. Minhyul." SeoJoon took a deep breath. He looked down, felt the middle and lower dantian, and said, "My energy circuit is too large, no matter how much I absorb, it cannot be filled." SeoJoon said, then scratched his head, "How much more medicine do I have to take?" Before he could think any more, he noticed Haeun, who was using all his mana just to carry that small thing. This made SeoJoon let out a sigh of relief. "Understand." "Huh, why are you still here?" SeoJoon wondered, "and Haeun over here is still trying to hold on." She thought to herself, "You told me to hold this." Although SeoJoon was still waiting for her to answer, Haeun could only say in her mind, "I was so worried that I couldn't hear anything he said." He thought in another way, "It seems like she's still not awake." Then, SeoJoon turned around and left, waving goodbye to Haeun calmly, so he continued walking. After walking a while, he suddenly stopped. Then he turned around and looked surprised. "Wait a minute, why is she still okay?" What he said didn't seem to match Haeun's current appearance at all. She gritted her teeth and whispered, "Okay, do I look okay? If I can beat you then I will." SeoJoon held out her hand and said, "Give it back to me." Hearing that, Haeun seemed to be relieved of her burden. She immediately transferred the object to his hand, then breathed heavily. Haeun's back finally rested. Meanwhile, SeoJoon checked the luggage in the bag, making sure it kept the iron with its original weight. He looked at it and counted to himself. Strangely enough, it was still normal. Usually. After checking, SeoJoon gave the bag to her again. "Take it back," he ordered. Haeun's face at this moment could be said to have changed for the worse. She was frightened and stammered, "What?" Once again, Haeun used up all his mana just to hold on to that heavy bag. Heck, SeoJoon here was a little confused. It's strange, why wasn't the seal activated? SeoJoon remembered, when Young Jimin held it, it activated. Wasn't it like other people couldn't touch it or something? Now that I remember, didn't Miss SeoJoon help me pick up Kibisis when it was on top of me? The same thing happened when I fainted in the dungeon after using God's power to fight the giant tree. I couldn't collect the weapon myself, so Uncle Manchul and the Holy Man brought it out for me. Or maybe the seal only activates when someone wants to steal or use my equipment. Thinking about it, SeoJoon offered something else, saying, "Hey, try putting this in your bag." Haeun took the small thing and replied miserably, "Okay." But before anything, she was shocked by the bag. SeoJoon observed and came to the conclusion, "Oh, just as I thought." Suyin and Minhyul were quickly there. Suyin was a little surprised. "Oh, you're here too, Mr. SeoJoon," and Minhyul greeted in a more dynamic style. "Hey, Captain." SeoJoon turned around, replied, "Oh ho, why did you two come here together? Suyin started to tell, we met outside, but, why is she here? SeoJoon immediately replied, she wants to come to our academy. Haeun was already lying on the ground, all black. Farted due to being electrocuted. Minhyul saw that and became surprised. Captain, you didn't intend to accept her, did you? SeoJoon replied, why are you asking me? You have to ask Miss SeoJoon. Again, he went to where Haeun was lying, held up the bag and said, don't overdo it, keep holding it. Minhyul scratched her head, stammering, that's true but. SeoJoon suddenly spoke up, oh that's right, Minhyul. When his name is mentioned he gasps. He handed over the books that the Black Saint had given to Minhyul. He smiled and said, your master told me to give this to you. He also told me not to be beaten by nameless pawns all the time. Minhyul smiled brightly, reaching out to receive it, thanking the captain. Haeun in the background was sadly holding the bag. SeoJoon smiled evilly, don't thank me, I should be thanking you. Minhyul wondered, why? Haeun said to herself, try harder, endure. The reason I followed that guy was to know how to get that power. While Minhyul was happily shaking the notebook, Suyin quickly approached and asked SeoJoon, what about you? What do I have to give you? I don't, SeoJoon replied, it's nothing. Haeun continued his train of thought, this is my chance to see how he practices every day. I will definitely take advantage of it to understand everything. Suddenly, their words made Haeun disillusioned. Also, Mr. SeoJoon, if you want to dance, wait until it's dark, we will be criticized. She was confused. SeoJoon replied, really? Then, he walked to Haeun, reached out his hand, hey, give it to me, I have to complete Hercules' daily task. Hearing that, Haeun looked at him with eyes staring at his savior. After she was relieved of her burden, Haeun faltered, so I asked for permission. Before I could leave, SeoJoon held her shoulder, where are you going? Go help Suyin practice, then turned to Suyin, called her name loudly, hey Suyin, causing her to turn around and gasp. He told Haeun, don't interfere with Minhyul's practice with her. This made her extremely disappointed. Why should I do it? SeoJoon wondered, why, don't you want to? Haeun apologetically replied, it's not like that. Suyin came running from afar. SeoJoon repeated, didn't you hear that? From now on ask her instead of Minhyul. Suyin then became a bit confused and surprised. I can do that, he replied, why not? She wants to go to our academy, at least it should be able to do that. After listening, Haeun also felt a chill in his body. He smiled evilly again, saying, just ask me all the questions you have. Suyin then thought to himself, she is very strong, practicing with her will definitely help me a lot. Then, Suyin summoned firepower behind his back. You kindly reached out to Haeun, so please take care of me. Haeun was still not prepared for this. When the fire was approaching, she raised her hand to stop it, stammering, wait, I'm going to die. Immediately, the room was filled with Haeun's screams. By the time this director arrived, SeoJoon over here was practicing with her red envelope, jumping up and down and counting the number of times she practiced. At the center of the Professional Hunter Association Seoul branch, everyone gathered together with a computer at each table. An employee yawned. He then complained in frustration that the meeting took too long. The person next to him also seemed quite pale, and at the same time agreed with the other employee, that's right, it's been almost a day. Maybe that's reasonable since this has never happened in the history of professional hunters, but, seriously, who would have thought that these things were caused by just one person, Kim SeoJoon? Korea is currently in a lot of chaos because of the upcoming professional hunter test. The cause of this chaos is Kim SeoJoon. From all over the forum, all of Korea is arguing about Kim SeoJoon and the hunter test. Professional hunting. He walked in suddenly, drawing everyone's attention. Taebum walked in, he adjusted the group, apologized for making you wait so long, and immediately, many cameras made clicking sounds while taking pictures. Quickly, many questions below were asked. Is the meeting over? How will the test be held this year? Will Kim SeoJoon be exempted or not? Taebum stated, our association fully understands the public's questions. To answer, our first priority is to exempt this cadet from participating in the test. The professional hunter test is if a national test has bias issues, it will affect the whole country. Therefore, someone suggested giving that cadet a separate test, but we cannot rule out the possibility of discrimination, and we also do not want our decision to affect other students. But it is clear that there are issues that need to be addressed in the professional hunter test regarding fairness, so after the meeting, our Professional Hunter Association Council would like to announce some changes in this year's professional hunter test. First, the test will use an absolute evaluation method, not a relative one. Immediately, the camera below takes more and more pictures. He continued to state that the reason for this problem is the relative evaluation method of the test, which is used to control the number of successful candidates from each year and divide the first group of professional hunters equal to test scores, but it is considered ineffective when looking at the severity of this situation. Second, the difficulty of the test will be increased sharply. Applying the absolute evaluation method may lead to the situation where many students receive the maximum score, so it will be difficult to divide groups of professional hunters based on test scores. Check more. Therefore, we plan to greatly increase the difficulty of this test this year. Immediately, a reporter raised his hand to speak up. I am Huang Song-soo of Hunter newspaper. He said the difficulty of the test would be increased sharply. How much would a sharp increase mean? Taebum replied, we want to make sure that no one can get the maximum score. Song-soo was surprised, which meant Kim SeoJoon was included. Taebum replied, yes. The whole room fell silent. After that, a strong controversy immediately arose. So wouldn't it be too difficult? If so, then there would be no reason to use this absolute evaluation method. That's right, isn't this test to test the candidate's ability? You said this test will be changed for the benefit of the people, but isn't that lowering the standards? If you swear, just show the professional hunter certificate. According to the old rules, only the first place can get rank A. What should I do when the scoring method changes? Taebum calmly replied that when no candidate achieved a perfect score, there would be no professional hunters this year. Immediately, his statement surprised everyone. He thought to himself, according to the old scoring method, among each person, the top-ranked person would get 100 points, but according to the absolute method, being at the top does not mean getting the maximum score. That's why the law is fine. Change accordingly. Taebum still stood still on the podium, but angrily crumpled the paper in his hand, continuing his train of thought, but that was impossible because the big associations had already taken action, those bastards. You have to be at least A rank or higher to form a guild, which is why the big guild doesn't want Kim SeoJoon to get a rank A hunter certificate, in order to lure him to their guild. But they didn't know that Kim SeoJoon was an untamable dragon, so they probably thought they could sit firmly on the throne forever. Thinking about it, he spoke again, but in exchange, those who could become A rank hunters this year would be given priority to attack the dungeon next year. The moment Kim SeoJoon entered the world of professional hunters, Korea. No, the whole world will enter a new era. Taebum regained confidence. He continued, also, we have decided to publicly show this year's test for the public to see. SeoJoon had returned, and what she saw before her eyes really surprised her. Haeun was showing Suyeon how to practice. She angrily said that even though she had very strong destructive power, her moves were too easy to predict. No one would be stupid enough to stand still and wait to be beaten. Suyeon replied softly, while your hand still summons fireballs. Well, that means I should tone down the power and add some dexterity. SeoJoon quickly asked SeoJoon, what happened while I wasn't here? Haeun heard her voice, immediately turned with a very surprised look. Manager, SeoJoon quickly replied, there you are, SeoJoon. Have you finished solving the urgent matter yet? He asked. SeoJoon was also silent for a moment. She replied, well, maybe I won't be able to come to the academy regularly until the professional hunter examination is over. SeoJoon immediately ran over, a bit surprised. Why? SeoJoon replied, I just thought I couldn't come. I'll probably come sometime. Anyway, you can't participate in any competitions before completing the professional exam, so there's no problem. There's no big convenience here, SeoJoon thought to herself. It means I won't be able to see Miss SeoJoon again. I don't want to, I thought. He immediately spoke up, Miss SeoJoon, even if I become a professional hunter, I can still come here. If I become a professional hunter, I still have to practice, but my house is as small as a nostril, and other places are not very convenient, so, listening to his words, SeoJoon also tilted her head to the side. He added, besides this place is quite comfortable. Hearing those words, SeoJoon suddenly curled the corners of her lips. She said, actually I also have something to tell you. SeoJoon started telling, what do you think if I turn the academy into a guild? SeoJoon was surprised. A guild? She replied, yes, although Suzhou the number of members is still slightly less than some real guilds. SeoJoon stammered, wait, then this academy will. SeoJoon sighed, didn't you say that sweeping dungeons was your dream job? He scratched his head, you still remember that. SeoJoon then happily turned around, saying, however, I have one condition. Please be the leader of this guild. Your request to SeoJoon was a disguised challenge. He was startled. You want me to be the guild leader? SeoJoon said, you can only form a guild if you have a rank of A rank or higher. I'm still a B rank, right? Currently, You have the possibility of getting an A-rank hunter license after this test, this causing SeoJoon to process the information longer than usual. Wait a minute, Miss SeoJoon. Not only that, she also offered, you can use the academy as the guild's headquarters. Minhyul immediately raised her sword and said loudly, I agreed. SeoJoon turned and scolded. What the hell was she agreeing with? Minhyul enthusiastically replied, to be honest, I was about to suggest that, but I didn't expect SeoJoon to go one step ahead. After the cat game, now the cow game. Minhyul bowed her knees slightly, loudly praying, ah, that's right, gang leader, you will accept me, right? Don't abandon me, hee. Suyin over there is also I couldn't stand it anymore and spoke up. I vehemently agreed 100%. Minhyul seemed to think, he said, if you are the gang leader, can I be the deputy gang leader? Suyin disagreed with his opinion, immediately objected, nonsense, the vice president position is certain. Will belong to Sister SeoJoon. Minhyul asked herself again, once a gang is established, it must be given a proper title, right? Suyin quickly interrupted, know yourself and know your destiny. The argument between the two kids made SeoJoon angry. With this group, SeoJoon behind him also felt a bit excited. She then advised, so you must pass the test, if it's you then there should be no problem. SeoJoon looked tired and sighed. SeoJoon whispered at the same time, I will also try my best. SeoJoon heard her mumbling words, he wondered, what did you just say, Miss SeoJoon? SeoJoon just happily replied, no, I'm just saying let's try together. SeoJoon also smiled back. The short relationship between these two people had come to an end. Minhyul was now extremely excited, saying, maybe I should be the head of the intelligence department, in charge of gathering information. Suyin at the same time talked about the general topic. Question, if you are the head of the intelligence department, then I am the manager of the research team. SeoJoon interjected, there is no way I can give power to you too. The children laughed loudly, responding to him with excitement. The research team manager heard that, but Haeyoung at this time, she became unusually sad. Returning to SeoJoon's residence, she attempted to learn swordsmanship under Minhyul's instruction, however, ending up in a relationship. Bringing many new relationships, and even new stories, the scene changed to Suyin walking and talking with Minhyul. Not long after walking, someone suddenly blocked the way. It was Haeyoung. She appeared a bit flustered, it seemed like she wanted to start a conversation. The end was not the end of everything. It was simply continuing a new beginning and a new life, changing scenes. SeoJoon wiped his sweat. The system board on the phone shows up, Bodhisattva's lesson reaches 33.7%, Chi Tian Dai Tan's lesson reaches 5.5%, Trong Tam Fon's lesson reaches 61.9%, 100, Hercules' lesson reached 74.7%, Lu Dongbin's lesson reached 7.4%, Siegfried's lesson reached 7.4%. Completed lessons include, The Strength of the Mountain Island gets A, Changing Nature gets A, Insight gets S. Time goes by so. The professional hunter exam was finally approaching. Outside the testing station, Minhyul looked around, it was too crowded. He was excited to talk loudly. Suyin on this side was nervous, trembling and wondering, if I get through? SeoJoon said, of course, just do it as usual. Suyin continued, it would be great if SeoJoon also came here. Unfortunately, Miss SeoJoon couldn't go, she could only say sorry because she still had unfinished business to do. SeoJoon continued thinking, even though I really wanted to ask what it was, but it must have been there's a reason she's so quiet. After thinking about it, he spoke up. Just focus on the test first. More important. Why are you here? SeoJoon asked Haeyoung, the woman accompanying Minhyul and Suyin. He said, you didn't get Miss SeoJoon's approval to become a student at the academy, right? Thinking back, Haeyoung was stunned at SeoJoon's words, our academy doesn't accept any more students. Anymore. Instead, Suyin defended Haeyoung, what's wrong with you? Haeyoung has helped us a lot, Minhyul too, that's right, there's no point in letting her come along. Haeyoung then had a lovely expression on her face. Love. SeoJoon wondered, oh shit, you guys fought so enthusiastically at the friendly tournament, why are you suddenly so close? Suyin reasoned, well, it's because you're so cold that I'm speaking fairly, besides, she often comes to the academy and helps me practice a lot, Minhyul said at the same time, Suyin thinks so, I have no opinion. SeoJoon finally gave in, okay, suddenly, the people behind spoke up, that's Kim SeoJoon. Then, everyone stared at him, the chatter started, where is Kim SeoJoon? Will Kim SeoJoon take the test here? This made him freeze. Then immediately ran away in front of everyone, okay, good luck and see you next time. Everyone in the inspection department was surprised, what the hell, suddenly disappeared, Minhyul shared the same opinion as those people, also seemed to be in a bad mood. It was true. Suyin said, I thought I had improved a lot, but I still couldn't keep up with SeoJoon. SeoJoon was moving in the air. Haeun was also speechless. Inside the surveillance center of the Professional Hunter Department, in the VIP room, a conference table with 5 people from the surveillance department gathered. The man holding the cup of coffee is the second-ranked hunter in all of Korea, as well as the legendary guild leader, named Lee Sungmin. He said, today he also seems to have a lot of promising talent. The only woman in that guild is the third-ranked hunter in Korea, and the leader of the Gurum Guild, named Jeong Yunmi. She smiled and said, why haven't you given up yet? The Legend Guild is about to dry up. It's financial, isn't it? Sungmin replied leisurely, still pretty good compared to her Gurum clan and the other guy's Hibiscus clan. The person mentioned was a young man who looked younger than all the other members. That name was the 4th-ranked hunter in Korea, the leader of the Hibiscus Flower clan. His name is Do Minsik. He banged on the table and spoke up, why did he suddenly drag me in? He also brought in other guilds. Financially speaking, the Sorabai Guild is the poorest among us. The leader of the Sorabai Guild is an older man. He is the 5th-ranked hunter in Korea. His name is Han Manchul. He gently said, our Sorabai state does not accept shameless people. Sungmin sighed. The association president did well. Manchul said, that guy thought Kim SeoJoon would get a perfect score. Minsik was always sarcastic. That's why I called him stupid. Who are we? But I don't know how good Kim SeoJoon is. The person sitting in the middle of the table spoke up, I hope you prepare carefully and use all the relationships within your ability. If Kim SeoJoon becomes an A-level hunter, we will be in big trouble. That man in a black uniform is the chairman of the meeting, the first-ranked hunter in Korea, the leader of the Black Dragon Group, named Ryu Jinkyil. Yunmi breathed a sigh of relief and said, that can't happen, just worry about recruiting Kim SeoJoon. Minsik wondered, by the way, what are you going to do if Kim SeoJoon refuses? It's only a matter of time before he becomes an A-level hunter, even if he fails here. Jinkyil gritted his teeth and asked again, so you still don't know my methods? I don't like having competitors, Jinkyil growled. He continued, so try to stop him from getting his A-level certificate, otherwise everything will be more troublesome than him refusing the offer. The atmosphere in the meeting room was tense. Everyone was talking about the chairman's tension. Yunmi said, worrying about white teeth again. Minsik also seemed to realize, oh yeah, I said something wrong. Manchul replied, yes so. Sungmin raised his coffee cup again, saying, of course Kim SeoJoon would still get first place. However, the difficulty of the first exam, the written exam, was extremely high. In the exam room at that time, the invigilator gave the questions to the students. On the board was written the title, the 45th Professional Hunter Exam, subject first exam, written exam. The proctor finished giving out the test. The loudspeaker outside announced, candidates, please turn over the test paper. SeoJoon and everyone followed. Sungmin continued, the difficulty can make even professional hunters tremble. They don't. Designed so that students can solve it. When SeoJoon flipped the question, his pupil shrank, showing the severe shock here. Sungmin laughed and said, so he can never get a perfect score. When handing out the score sheets, the first subject, writing, ranked first, Kim SeoJoon with 100 points, ranked second, Sok Suyin with 87 points, ranked third, Joan Sihu with 85 points, ranked fourth, Lee Dun with 83 points, ranked fifth, Han Semin with 79 points. And the results were clear. Kim SeoJoon scored 100 points, and also got a perfect score in the written exam. At this time, everyone in the council was so calm that they were silent. Jinkyil spoke up, he really did it. This is the exam to select professional hunters. The exam includes many parts such as essay and essay. Basic endurance. Mana proficiency. Dungeon attack. The ability to fight and subdue monsters. Combat ability, PvP. There are a total of 6 tests. The caption clearly states that this exam takes place over a period of 3 days. Today is the first day of the Professional Hunter Selection exam that candidates have been waiting for a long time and is also the day of 2 essay tests and basic endurance tests. Additional notes. The rankings for the first test, the essay test, were out. The candidates rushed towards the board. After looking at it, they were sold out. It was really crazy. I thought the essay test would be very difficult. Someone replied, well, that's why I said, I thought it would be very difficult, so I studied too much. So there's no point in studying hard, right? 100 points. The others didn't say anything. I thought I could at least beat the captain in this test, but I lost. Minhyul shouted excitedly. It turned out he only got 50.5 points. Suyin trembled and asked SeoJoon, how did he do that? She was better, got 87 points. Kim SeoJoon asked a little surprised, while Minchul continued to be agitated. Kim SeoJoon smiled and calmly replied, meaning, if you look at it, you will immediately know the answer. The other two people were stunned and silent after hearing this. The girl in the group looked at him with eyes that couldn't be more bored and said, "You're really boring," which made SeoJoon freeze after hearing that. He remembered what he said, if he didn't have intelligence skills, there would be no way he could get a perfect score on the essay test. Why the hell did he just read the question and the answer appeared in his mind? He wondered. "I will definitely beat you in the next exam," Minchul declared. "Big sister Haeun, how many points did you get on the exam?" Suyeon asked. Haeun heard someone asking him and was suddenly startled and his face turned black. She hesitated as if not wanting to say, "Points, yes, how many points?" Suyeon asked again. Haeun blushed and gingerly replied, 332 points. After everyone heard this, they fell silent as if a crow was about to fly by. The greatest talent to ever appear in the history of professional hunters, SeoJoon's thoughts appeared. It seemed like her talent in other areas had not yet blossomed. Haeun saw everyone silent and asked, "Star?" In the meeting room, the person chairing the meeting said angrily, "Didn't you guys say he would never get a perfect score?" But Kim SeoJoon achieved a perfect score in the essay and basic endurance tests. He continued. "How are you going to explain this?" The leader snapped angrily. Han Manchul thought with a dark face in fear, not counting the essay test, the difficulty of the basic endurance test has been adjusted based on the standards set by the 4 leaders of the 4 great guilds present here. And Kim SeoJoon achieved a perfect score. Doesn't that mean Kim SeoJoon's basic endurance is on par with ours? He wondered. The red-haired guy awkwardly explained the situation. Please don't worry, there's a problem with the plan but the exam hasn't ended yet." Another person hastily added, "That's right, there are still 2 days left before the exam ends, right?" Jinkyil frowned angrily and announced, "I heard that Dream Academy will be transformed into a guild after the professional hunter selection exam ends. The guild leader will likely be Kim SeoJoon, the director of the guild. The academy, who is the granddaughter of the Sword Saint, will likely also join that guild. No matter how stupid you are, you still understand what this means, right?" he said in a very frustrated tone, making everyone in the room scared and silent. "Tight." The leader curled his veiny hands and placed them on the table, so angry that he was shaking, and said, "A guild backed by the Sword Saint, with the right to attack the dungeon within the next 5 years thanks to the tricks of the guild president. New association." Then he shouted, slammed his hand on the table, "What I'm trying to say is that the guild that is about to be established will shake the position of our guild that has been built over many years." Jeong Yunmi quickly stood up and spoke up in fear, saying that what happened today would not happen again on Monday. Because by referring to his achievements in the competitions he has participated in so far, we knew what type of questions to change to and how difficult to increase the difficulty so that when Kim SeoJoon could not pass having received a perfect score, she continued her presentation. She was quiet and spoke softly, so unless he woke up one night and suddenly got stronger, there was absolutely no way he would get a perfect score again. Meanwhile, in the third test, mana proficiency, Kim SeoJoon still ranked first with an absolute score, his mana burning strongly. And in the fourth test, the dungeon attack, he continued to score 100 points. The beetles were instantly pierced by his power. This was like a painful slap to the guild. They continued to suffer torment in the meeting room. They were so worried that they were shaking. Because of impatience, the leader became suspicious. Someone spoke up, "Is there anyone here who is on Kim SeoJoon's side? It's just a misunderstanding. What benefits will we get from following Kim SeoJoon?" These people in the council were scared and quickly explained, "Yes, it was just a misunderstanding. Betrayal is humiliating. Han Manchul, I am a person who respects honor," Manchul shouted. Jinkyil had a headache and put his hand on his forehead, boredly asking, "How are you preparing for the remaining exams?" The redhead obsequiously replied, "We have completed the preparations, but we did not expect this to happen." Manchul heard that and gulped, thinking, now there are only 2 remaining exams to test the ability to fight monsters, and with the opponent being another contestant, if we fail tomorrow then he will die. We'll become an A rank hunter. Yunmi continued, "But please don't worry, this time we will definitely let him taste failure." But the leader strictly requested, "Change the entire plan." "Why? But if we suddenly change the entire plan like this?" she quickly asked again, making the leader angry, his eyes wide open, filled with murderous intent. He stood up and faced the person who had just spoken. As soon as the girl stood up to speak, she immediately felt pressure and fear, her face showing shock. The meeting continued. Jinkyil asked, "About the fighting competition, who was the judge of that test?" "An active A rank hunter from the Sorabai Guild," someone replied. "Besides his reputation, his skills were also excellent to the point where we predicted he would become an S rank hunter sooner than later." That person was about to say more, but Jinkil stopped and said firmly, "No." He put on a serious face and affirmed in a strong voice, "We will change to another judge." Late that same day, Elder Seo was hurrying towards the apartment. He frowned, worried, remembering everything. "Just let things happen naturally," the principal said. He really didn't understand and said loudly, "How could that be possible, principal? Even though we all know that the 5 great leaders of the 5 great guilds will intervene, you still ask me to let everyone know. Is it a natural thing? If something bad happened to Kim SeoJoon, miss," he continued to talk, while the principal just calmly replied, "If that's all he's been down, then his ability only goes that far. If he had been weak from the start, he wouldn't have gotten this far now," the principal continued, "but, Mr. Principal," he still wasn't convinced. The principal continued to say, "The important thing is that there is no way that only the 5 great gangs will get involved, those guys don't have the guts to do that." Then the principal finished it, "But let's just let things take their natural course." Elder Seo frowned, thinking with a headache, "Young lady." The Sword Saint thought, even if that's what the principal said, we can't just stand there and watch, then shouted loudly, "Kim SeoJoon, are you there?" He suddenly saw something and was startled. Kim SeoJoon is focusing on exerting a huge source of power. Kim SeoJoon heard the call and turned around, suddenly asking, "Elder Seo, what wind brought the day here?" He suddenly quickly approached and asked if something had happened to SeoJoon. Elder Seo replied, "No, so don't worry." He thought, what was his aura just now? It was on a completely different level than before. The old man was suddenly startled and wondered, had he achieved this level after just a few months? SeoJoon breathed a sigh of relief, "You made me think something was wrong." The old man pondered and wondered if the principal knew about this from the beginning. Standing for a while, SeoJoon suddenly realized and asked, "So what's going on?" Elder Seo said seriously, "I have something to tell you." The next day, the 3rd day of the professional hunter selection exam, the last day, at the large grandstand. "Delicious, finally 100 points, Minyul shouted happily. In the contestant waiting room, Kim SeoJoon was resting his head. Suyin said, "You got 100 points as easy as pie, Mr. SeoJoon. I knew right away that you would be able to do it, Captain," Minyul added, "it was obvious." "It's okay," Haeun said calmly. Seeing SeoJoon being especially quiet, we all felt strange. Minyul immediately asked, "What's going on, Captain?" while from afar someone rushed in, shouting, "Do you know the news? They said the examiner for the fighting test has changed." "What? So who is the judge now?" The whole waiting room was confused at the new information. This exam has been extremely difficult from the beginning, so even if the examiner were to be changed, it would be just as difficult. I think what's different about the judges," Minyul said. "Even if the judges were changed, wouldn't it be the same?" "No," the announcer said worriedly. "The 4 leaders of the 4 great guilds will be the judges," he shouted loudly, surprising everyone in the room. "Leader of the 4 great guilds?" someone asked again, while Kim SeoJoon remained silent as if he knew this would happen. Then suddenly, he raised his face, his eyes filled with seriousness. Haeun was hit and cried out, "Kya!" She fell to the ground. The judges took out their swords and read the score, 64 points. The system made a beep, ding, and on the screen appeared more words, candidate number 2370, Lee Haeun, 64 points. When the contestants saw that, they were suddenly shocked. It couldn't be, even Haeun. To be honest, her score was already quite high. Han Manchul is the owner of the ultimate sword of truth. Even swordsmen must recognize its power. When Han Manchul was introduced, he looked majestic, leaning the sword heavily on the ground, sharp eyes looking towards him. Before, he thought that the skills of the contestants this time were all very good. "I don't like to bury talent, but this is also the path of those who seek the ultimate truth," he continued to think. The name of the next contestant was shouted, "Contestant number 2371, Kim SeoJoon, please come forward." Before, Kim SeoJoon held the weapon in his hand, his eyebrows furrowed, his eyes filled with determination. Looking closer, his expression was really serious right now. Outsiders who watched this match were also excited. "Hey, have you heard the news? They said that the 5 most powerful guild masters will be the judges for the hunter selection exam, in the exam room of Kim SeoJoon and Han Manchul of the guild. Shurabai is the judge." "Really? Whoa, please send me the link." Sitting in the restaurant, someone wondered, could Kim SeoJoon win? The person sitting opposite happily replied, "Ha ha ha, how can a contestant beat the judge? Has there ever been a time in the history of professional hunter exams? There's no precedent for that, ha ha ha." "Who knows?" someone asked again. Even on the bus, everyone was eagerly waiting to watch the match. On the construction site, 2. Everyone is temporarily putting aside their work and eagerly looking forward to the next battle. Even Lee Sok-man was worried, holding his breath and waiting to see. The 3 friends in SeoJoon's team who took the test first were also eagerly waiting. The 2 people Manchul and SeoJoon faced each other. Manchul closed his eyes and sighed. He opened his mouth. Your performance in the competition was amazing. To be honest, I was impressed. Hearing him say that, SeoJoon was a bit startled. But he just got there. He let out a statement that was both ironic and challenging. In this field you will never get a perfect score, he continued. I know, Kim SeoJoon calmly replied after listening, making the other person a bit surprised. Oh. You know, he asked again, SeoJoon's expression still not changing one bit. Back in the past, one day ago, SeoJoon shouted, why are the 5 biggest guilds following me because they don't want me to become an A-level hunter, and if at the end of the hunter recruitment competition, Miss SeoJoon still isn't fluent swordsmanship, she will give up her dream of being a star hunter. So even if he becomes an A-rank hunter if Miss SeoJoon fails, he thought worriedly, Elder Seo said, even though he recently achieved a perfect score, the problem is the team match tomorrow. Old Seo said with a serious face, the right to decide the score is entirely based on the judge's assessment, no matter how good you are in fighting, if they say your performance deserves 99 points but is not enough to reach 100. You can't get a perfect score either. He sighed and added, of course there will be some people who will object, but I'm sure they will use their influence to suppress it. SeoJoon heard that and thought with a black face, how shameless. Actually, I have always admired the spirit of the Sorabai Guildmaster's seeker of ultimate truth, but this is disappointing, he said with a sigh, because those people have been at the top for a long time, so they are ambitious. Maintaining your position is even greater, Mr. Seo replied. The only way to solve it is for you to go to the Sword Saint and ask for help. If you set the same conditions as last time, even the Sword Saint will have no other choice but to agree, he added. Kim SeoJoon listened quietly. After listening, he quietly turned serious as if he was thinking about something. Is Miss SeoJoon okay? He asked. I mean, did she finish on time? Honestly, I think this is impossible, Mr. Seo shook his head and replied. But don't think about intervening. This is the ladies' battle, and even though she can't stand side by side with you, she probably still wants you to get a perfect score, he warned. SeoJoon remained silent. Mr. Seo, can I ask you a favor? Can you tell Ms. SeoJoon about my current situation? SeoJoon asked for a favor. Elder Seo was startled when he heard that. Why, do you want the young lady to feel less guilty? He wondered, since both of them are in a difficult position, it's okay if she can't do it. No, quite the contrary, SeoJoon denied, surprising old Seo. If I can do the impossible, doesn't Miss SeoJoon think she can do it too? SeoJoon replied happily, smiling. I won't go to the Sword Saint, he said. Mr. Seo remembered and frowned and sighed. Suddenly someone called out, Mr. Seo. Why don't I stop Miss SeoJoon? The guard asked worriedly. She has been losing sleep and food practicing her sword for the past few days. Today is the appointment and the last day of the hunter selection competition, if that's the case. So things will get worse. SeoJoon tiredly leaned on her sword and panted. It's really impossible to master swordsmanship in a few weeks, that guy continued, but old Seo only replied, leave it alone, young lady. But, the guy next to him worriedly said, but, the lady's matter has been decided, I shouldn't interfere, old Seo said. Then he raised his face. Seeing SeoJoon practicing diligently despite being tired, he thought, young lady. I understand why, you long to hold a sword again. He had a proud smile on his face looking at SeoJoon who was practicing diligently. Returning to the match, SeoJoon said, sorry but I have to get a perfect score, there are still people waiting for me. Manchul heard that, closed his eyes, said, I don't know what your situation is, but the professional hunter world is extremely harsh, at all costs to give you a perfect score, if, SeoJoon interrupted. The judges couldn't evaluate, so who would score? The question made Manchul pause. What did you just say? He asked again. Besides, if a situation arose so there was no other choice but to give me a perfect score, what would the score be? SeoJoon asked while taking the time to stretch his muscles. Manchul stood opposite, his face black and angrily thinking, there is only one case where the judges cannot evaluate, and that is when they lose to the contestant. I believe you won't die, SeoJoon said with an innocent expression, but you might be bedridden for a month. When Manchul heard those contemptuous words, he was extremely angry, but he quickly calmed down his emotions. He sighed, ha. Ho ho, how arrogant, even though your skills are superior to others. Manchul was talking when SeoJoon interrupted. I had to get a perfect score so. He stood in a prepared position, relaxed, smiling and challenging, saying, I will make you all regret it. Manchul sounded like lightning struck his ears. He said, I tried to control this situation but. He moved his feet into a defensive position, then advanced like lightning. He lost his temper and launched a blow with great power, shouting, I will make you regret it, but Kim SeoJoon blocked it. The powerful energy of the two opposing people radiated throughout the room. Manchul made an extremely angry face. Suddenly, he changed his expression, suddenly realizing something. He looked worriedly at SeoJoon. He just calmly said, don't die. This time I used the Inusmosa dragon, so I won't be able to control my power, Kim SeoJoon said with a smile. Back to the past, 9 years ago. Kim SeoJoon asked when he was young. Thinking back, it seems like he has the same name as the Sorabai guild leader, Uncle Manchul. Uncle Manchul tilted his head to hear the question. He replied, oh yes, a while ago, his father was saved by Hunter Han Manchul's father, so he named him the same as his son's name as a way to show gratitude. When SeoJoon heard it, he was both excited and surprised. Really? Uncle Manchul asked him, do you also know about the Great Disaster? I heard that at that time, the surrounding bunker was filled with monsters. At that time, the government and military decided to abandon that bunker due to lack of manpower, probably because there weren't many of them back then. Awake lecture, Uncle recounted. SeoJoon worriedly asked, really, what should the people inside do? Uncle Manchul sighed and said, of course the only thing left to do is sit and wait for death. In a situation where even 5 heroes could not stop the monster, he said, images of the past appeared, the people in the shelter were trembling in fear. The moment everyone thought everything was over, he said, before the eyes of the people in the cellar were 2 huge and extremely scary monsters, they were staring at them like delicious prey. Suddenly a ray of light cut across their faces, to the surprise of many people. Including Uncle Manchul's father. A hero suddenly appeared. The only person who still dares to stand up and confront the monsters is the founder of the Great True Sword and the father of Hunter Han Manchul, he continued. Hunter Han Manchul's father majestically holds a sword and stands before the monsters, protecting everyone. Hunter Han Wonji, everyone calls his name. Hunter Han Wonji said, if you want to step on the path of finding the ultimate truth, ask yourself these questions. Have I really tried my best? He gradually gathered his strength while teaching. Having fought until his last breath, his strength increased day by day, making the monsters suddenly afraid. Han Wonji raised his sword and shouted loudly, have I risked everything to destroy the enemy, before the attack of giant monsters? After that, he single-handedly slashed the army of monsters, and saved 50,000 people with their lives. Uncle Manchul excitedly described it while SeoJoon stood next to listen to the story with extremely admiring eyes. Unfortunately, after saving everyone, he was exhausted and passed away. Uncle Manchul sighed regretfully at this point. My father was also among those 50,000 people, so he decided to name me after his son. Uncle Manchul explained his name. Kim SeoJoon heard that, his eyes filled with pride and excitement. Then the uncle turned to ask him, and then he remembered that you wanted to say become a hunter, right, Kim SeoJoon? SeoJoon sheepishly scratched his head and said, yes, I'm saving money to apply to the academy, even though I don't know when I'll have enough. Uncle Manchul put his hand on his shoulder to encourage him. Compared to other people his age, he is really hard-working. Okay, try your best, but remember not to get hurt. For people like us, our bodies are essential. Rice fishing. SeoJoon smiled happily hearing that. Always put yourself first, Uncle Manchul advised. Yes, Manchul replied. The construction site owner saw them being idle and shouted, if you're done eating, go back to work right away. This old man, who will die if he gives someone a break? Uncle Manchul asked angrily. SeoJoon suddenly heard an announcement from the city TV, breaking news. The 10-star dungeon incident that occurred in the downtown area today was handled thoroughly by Hunter Han Manchul from the Sawbari Guild, the host reported. Regarding the dungeon break incident this time around the Hunter Association, the host continued to speak. SeoJoon was listening attentively when he was called away. Let's go Kim SeoJoon. Ah, yes, he replied. The most important thing in Absolute True Sword is not external forces. Kim SeoJoon left but his head still turned to look at Han Manchul on the big screen. A seeker of absolute truth, he said. There must be an indomitable will, which is the root of the great true sword. SeoJoon looked at him speaking with admiration. So cool. One day I will become as cool as him, SeoJoon resolved. Returning to reality, he used a move to send Han Manchul flying. He flew up, blood spurting from his mouth. Kim SeoJoon looked ahead with a serious expression. Knocked out, Han Manchul was continuously hit. Seizing the opportunity, he was punched in the face. Kim SeoJoon, after weakening him for a while, looked at Manchul tiredly trying to stand up. He used his spear to aim straight at him. And stab, he thought, then pointed the spear straight at Han Manchal, from which a powerful stream of power was released. Han Manchal was attacked by such a powerful move and cried out in pain, "Kya arg." He fell down. The power of the move just now was truly terrible. It left an extremely large mark on the ground. "Oh my god, Mr. Manchal is being overwhelmed," said the person in the waiting room. The leader of one of the 4 great guilds. They continued to be surprised. Han Manchal coughed and stood up with difficulty. I thought this match was ridiculous," he said. "But now it seems I have to admit it." Manchal laughed at himself. He thought, if he gave the finishing blow, I would definitely die. He stood up trembling, no longer arguing that this was his failure. However, after the last blow, I'm sure, he regained his composure and gathered strength. The examiner was obliged to continue the test, unless the candidate lost the ability to fight, he said. "This person has no intention of killing me," Manchal said firmly. He gathered a large amount of power around him, shouting, "If you accept to give up in the face of failure, then you are not a seeker of the ultimate truth." He shouted out the philosophy that his father passed down: if you want to step on the path of searching for the ultimate truth along with your ego, then ask yourself these questions. Have you really tried your best? Have you fought until your last breath? He kept talking loudly, Kim SeoJoon seriously observed. Have you risked everything to destroy the enemy? He shouted the last sentence, then exploded with power. Lightning bolts of power spread throughout the room. Han Manchal's eyes were fiery, declaring, "I will never lose my truth. The moment I lost the truth, which could only be when I died," he shouted, and then used the power of teleportation to instantly move in front of Kim SeoJoon, raising the absolute true sword and preparing to strike down. But when he lowered his sword, Kim SeoJoon easily dodged it. "So," he said. Han Manchal was surprised. "Haven't you surrendered to the Black Dragon?" The question seemed to hit Manchal's humiliation. He blushed angrily. "Is that why you used your anger to slash a cutting board on me?" SeoJoon continued to ask. Manchal angrily turned around, swung his sword back, shouted loudly, and shut up. Because he didn't want to let go of what he was desperately holding on to, SeoJoon continued to add fuel to the fire, just for personal gain, making him mad. Ache. That was the ultimate truth that his father, Hunter Han Wonji, had mentioned, SeoJoon retorted. The ultimate truth, the root of the great true sword, is the indomitable will. The teachings of Hunter Han Wonji appear. There was a time when I used to wait for Han Manchal's Sorabai party, SeoJoon thought through gritted teeth. "No, I used to admire that indomitable will," he admitted, and then angrily shouted, "Wouldn't you feel ashamed if you had to face Mr. Han Wonji?" Han Manchal heard his father's name coming from a brat and angrily asked, "What do you know to dare mention my father's name? You dare to gossip about my father again?" Manchal is still continuing to act arrogantly. SeoJoon lowered his voice dangerously and said, "You told me to kill you. You gently took away the weapon. Even though you wanted to, I wouldn't let you down. You spared his life. The spear dragon Illis kept in his pocket. Like I said just now, 1 month, or you will have to stay in bed for the next 2 months. SeoJoon looked at Manchal, who was exhausted and threatened. Han Manchal was angry when he was humiliated. "Don't underestimate the will of ultimate truth," he shouted and rushed forward. He hadn't finished speaking yet. SeoJoon had already gathered his strength and appeared behind him, saying indignantly, he was the one who looked down on it. He punched him down, causing the ground to sink. This time, Manchal was dead. SeoJoon furrowed his eyebrows, gritted his teeth and lowered the blow. Han Manchal was hit, his face turned white, and he vomited blood. Han Manchal received the final blow, his eyes turned white, his mouth spewed blood. SeoJoon gritted his teeth and lowered the blow. Han Manchal couldn't believe this situation, thinking, "What the hell, why is he so strong? What did he use to hit me?" "Star Fist," he predicted. But very quickly, Manchal was able to sit up, recover his strength, grab his weapon and rush straight to Kim SeoJoon. The old man shouted, "Damn it," but SeoJoon was 1 step faster. He quickly dodged Manchal's attack and focused his strength on his fist right in front of the old man's face. Han Manchio realized it in time and turned upside down to avoid the attack. This time, he was the one who surprised SeoJoon. Seconds later, Kim SeoJoon put his hand down there, releasing an extremely powerful fire strike on the cracked ground. SeoJoon popped up above Han Manchal's head. Then gave him a series of kicks from his shoulder, face to stomach, causing Tuat Chan's sword to fall out of Manchal's reach. Finally, he lowered a fire attack from the air, aiming straight at Han Manchal. Han Manchal was hit, blood spurted from his mouth, and he thought in fear, "This is not another match." This time, the wall behind not only cracked but also completely collapsed. Han Manchal sat under the rubble, coughing constantly, thinking, I know Kim SeoJoon is very strong, but I think compared to me, he is still weaker. Under Han Manchel's eyes, Kim SeoJoon seemed to have become a different person. His eyes were bloodshot. Manchel thought, I cannot approach him, nor can I touch him. Under Han Manchel's increasingly fading gaze, SeoJoon was now like a dark shadow reaching out to finish him off. He realized, apart from this overwhelming power. SeoJoon grabbed his collar, about to raise her hand to punch him. At this time, Han Manchel's voice trembled and he stopped, making him stop. He struggled to say a few words, please let me die. SeoJoon heard that, didn't think much, focused all his strength on the punch. He used the move, the power of God, to strike down. This time Han Manchel really died. He lay on the ground motionless. SeoJoon concentrated his efforts and watched. He moved forward and grabbed Manchel's collar. He weakly asked for forgiveness. Please forgive me. SeoJoon despised him. It was so unsightly. He frowned and looked at the man in front of him. No, not only unsightly but also disgusting. He continued to beg, I will give you 100 points so please. SeoJoon looked at the coward in front of him, thinking, this is not the attitude of the ultimate pursuer. Perhaps he also surrendered to Ryu Jinkil this way. He contemplated thoughtfully, so to speak, if he ended up here, who knows when he would break the contract again. Even though he was the ultimate fake hunter, the truth he sought would still exist. Value, he does not faint easily. If I can't get a perfect score by overwhelming Han Manchel, he considered. And if I have to kill Han Manchel to get a perfect score, this could be a serious violation that could cause my license to be revoked, he considered. SeoJoon thought of the image of Ryu Jinkil pulling the strings to control the puppet and exclaimed, he even considered the worst-case scenario, Ryu Jinkil. Since he was unable to receive the A-level hunter license from the beginning, SeoJoon slowly lowered his hand. But, he suddenly thought again and clenched his fist. I haven't told you yet, he opened his mouth, startling Manchel. The fake transcendents I'm aiming for are people who can still find a way when pushed into a corner, he thought. People who break all limits. Thinking so, he raised his fist and said, just lie still for 2 months. Manchel's face showed fear. Cam Tandine, hearing the name of the move and knowing that he was about to attack, Han Manchel quickly begged, no wait, please. Before he could finish speaking, SeoJoon's fist swung at his face. The punch got closer and closer to his face. A fury occurred. A steadfast, resilient, indomitable mind in the face of everything. This is Han Manchel's thinking. How? He couldn't believe it. If you want to become the ultimate hunter, ask yourself this question, he recalled. He's flying away. Have you tried your best? Have you ever fought to the death? Have you given all your strength to defeat your opponent? Someone's words are appearing in his mind. Why does this person remind me of my father? He was curious. Only then will I not feel ashamed. The image of my father that appears is similar to Kim SeoJoon, he said. Think carefully to see if he has ever done anything shameful. This is the true essence of the ultimate truth, he thought, raising his hand towards him. No, more than that, his hand gradually lowered. Transcendence, he exclaimed. Then completely unconscious. Kim SeoJoon gritted his teeth and shouted angrily, Ryu Jinkil. Ryu Jinkil was sitting behind the screen observing the match. Kim SeoJoon seriously pointed at the camera, challenging, it's your turn next. Ryu Jinkil frowned. Kim SeoJoon, he did it, the workers at the construction site shouted happily for SeoJoon. Mr. Chairman, the reporters are waiting outside. The chairman smiled proudly, adjusted his tie and said, let's go. Oh my God, that's the kid who was in the same hospital as me a few months ago. The old lady realized, she shouldn't have lied like that. How could Kim SeoJoon be in the hospital? Her grandson sitting next to her couldn't believe it. Kim SeoJoon returned to the waiting room, and the 3 people waiting happily ran out. What's wrong? Ryu Jinkil angrily turned to ask. I have mobilized all the forces in the guild, however, Jong Yunmi nervously replied. Why? Ryu Jinkil asked again. The president of the association appeared in person, she said. The other person hastily added. He announced the situation as soon as Kim SeoJoon's test was completed, even summoning reporters from before. So what about the way to wake up Han Manchel? Ryu Jinkil continued asking. From the beginning we researched, but the result was as you predicted. It far exceeded the maximum amount of mana he could endure. Okay, he replied. His life was not in critical danger, but it would take at least 2 months to recover, he continued. Ryu Jinkil frowned upon hearing that. Have we lost completely? He asked coldly. The question made the 3 people in the meeting room silent. Whether it was about skills, public opinion, or reason, the 3 people in the room were scared black. I lost to an indifferent student, a brat whose nose was not clear. Ryu Jinkil snarled every word. The 3 of us could only silently bow our heads. Ryu Jinkil recalled Kim SeoJoon's challenging image. He mumbled, arrogant bastard. He was so angry that his hands clenched tightly and kept shaking. Sok Soo-yeon was excited, oh my god, so cool, SeoJoon oppa is so amazing. Lee Min-yul was scratching his head, worried, I don't know anything, I really don't know anything. Lee Hae-eun was absent-minded and silent, so he was lenient with me. Kim SeoJoon saw everyone's reaction and remained silent, not knowing what to say. Lee Hae-eun was full of disappointment and wondered, why did he treat me so gently before? Lee Min-yul seemed to be scared by SeoJoon's strength and stammered, leader, we had a relationship before. Very good, right, if I did something to offend then please forgive me. Sok Soo-yeon is still extremely excited, oppa, be serious, you're not human, right? Don't tell me you're a bisexual, it's the same as him. Hey, oppa, where's mine? Bring him back. Everyone's reaction bothers SeoJoon. Ah, it's so noisy, what's wrong with you guys? Sok Soo-yeon kept shouting, hey, doppelganger, bring my oppa back. Lee Min-yul also happily followed, bring him back, bring him back.